At precisely 17 minutes past 7 on the morning of June 30th, 1908, the inhabitants of Podkamenia, an area located in eastern Siberia, witnessed a massive, dazzling fireball tearing through the sky at tremendous speed. Moments later, a cataclysmic explosion shook the region, an event scientists would later estimate to be 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. This phenomenon became known as the Tunguska Event. The explosion obliterated nearly 2,000 square kilometers of forest, triggering a seismic shockwave equivalent to a 5 on the Richter scale. A serious investigation did not begin until the 1920s, when Russian geologist Leonid Kulik became the first to reach that remote expanse in 1927 after an arduous journey, only to be confronted with a scene of utter devastation. Millions of trees had been uprooted and flung aside like matchsticks, while those at the epicenter stood eerily upright, scorched and charred. Kulik interviewed local witnesses and concluded that the event was unlike anything known. It left no tangible trace other than the strange arrangement of trees. Over the following years, Kulik led 4 scientific expeditions under the auspices of the Soviet Academy of Sciences to further investigate the incident. The prevailing theory suggested the explosion had been caused by the atmospheric disintegration of a comet or a large meteorite. However, despite the wide-scale destruction, no impact crater was discovered, nor were there any meteorite fragments, celestial debris, or signs of collision. This led some to propose that the object never actually struck the Earth, but rather exploded mid-air at an altitude of 10 kilometers, unleashing the devastating force. Yet, other researchers found this theory insufficient. An explosion of such magnitude, they argued, would have scattered immense amounts of rocky debris across the region, debris that was never found. In the late 1940s, Russian author Alexander Kazantsev offered a more extraordinary explanation. The blast could not have been natural. He suggested it was, in fact, a nuclear explosion. But since mankind had not yet harnessed nuclear power in 1908, Kazantsev speculated that the explosion must have been caused by the crash of an extraterrestrial spacecraft. Later, between the years 1959 and 1960, 2 scientific missions were dispatched to search for radioactive traces, but no evidence surfaced to substantiate Kazantsev's nuclear hypothesis. Despite the numerous expeditions and the passage of more than a century, the Tunguska Event remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in modern history. Nearly 40 years later, on July 8, 1947, an object crashed north of the city of Roswell in the state of New Mexico. An incident that might have passed unnoticed, like hundreds of similar events. Yet this episode, later dubbed the Roswell Incident, became the most iconic account associated with extraterrestrial life and sparked worldwide controversy. Newspapers reported that the wreckage recovered was not that of a weather balloon, as officially claimed by the U.S. government, but rather that of a flying saucer. The government swiftly denied these claims, deploying military personnel across the crash site for over 6 months in an effort to erase all traces of the incident. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Walter Ode, who was directly involved in the operation, penned a sworn affidavit contradicting the official narrative. He declared that he had personally seen the wreckage of the spacecraft and the lifeless bodies of its occupants, small beings, he described, no taller than 1 meter. What stands out here is how this description can be linked to the story of geologist and engineer Philip Schneider, who worked on the Dulce Base Tunnel project in the Nevada desert, USA. He claimed that the project's goal was not to build underground military bases, but rather a covert operation designed to drill a vast network of tunnels leading to the so-called Hollow Earth, a realm which, according to believers, lies beneath our surface world and is inhabited by beings unlike us. Philip recounted that he and a companion managed to reach this subterranean world through the tunnels, where they encountered its inhabitants, short-statured creatures who pursued them, impervious to the bullets he fired in defense. He later released several videos exposing the true nature of the American project in the Nevada desert, specifically in the infamous Area 51. Rumors suggest that these disclosures were the reason for his untimely death. Subsequently, in the year 1995, a video emerged depicting the autopsy of a non-human entity purported to be one of the beings that perished in the Roswell incident. The footage went viral, prompting intense scrutiny by experts. Initially deemed authentic, it was eventually revealed to be an elaborate hoax. Nonetheless, the Roswell incident became the gateway to what American journalist Annie Jacobson called an era of UFO madness. She also revealed that a military intelligence unit had hypothesized the designers of such crafts were Nazi scientists who had worked under the Third Reich during World War II. Spurred by this possibility, the U.S. Air Force launched a series of systematic investigations to determine whether these unidentified flying objects posed a national security threat. These investigations became known as Project Blue Book, encompassing over 12,000 reported sightings of flying saucers. The majority were attributed to natural phenomena such as clouds and stars, or to conventional aircraft, while a small fraction remained classified as unexplained. The project was officially concluded in 2012, yet the New York Times later reported that the investigation likely continues in secret. We shall not delve into the thousands of stories and first, second, and third-degree encounters with extraterrestrial beings. It suffices to reflect on the Tunguska Event and the Roswell Incident as two critical keys that lead us to a seemingly simple question, one that invites a binary answer of yes or no, though in truth it is far more complex. Do extraterrestrial beings truly exist? According to mainstream science, the Earth we inhabit is merely a small planet in a vast universe filled with trillions upon trillions of celestial bodies. From this perspective, it seems illogical to believe that we, the human race, are the only form of intelligent life in the cosmos. There must be hundreds, thousands, even millions of other civilizations living on distant worlds, some technologically equivalent to us, others less advanced, and still others far more sophisticated. Albert Einstein once stated, "Given the countless billions of Earth-like planets in existence, there is no doubt that life must exist somewhere in the universe. In this immense expanse, we are not alone." Although this perspective is often labeled as scientific, it remains, in essence, a philosophical outlook or a theoretical hypothesis yet to be decisively proven, despite the numerous incidents, phenomena, observations, and testimonies that seem to support it. This ambiguity has opened the door to speculation and inspired science fiction writers to craft tales where the unfamiliar intertwines with the wild imagination of the human mind. As a result, we have become accustomed to stories of mysterious alien visitations, secret projects, restricted zones, unidentified flying objects, anomalies in physical laws, ancient legends of civilizations descending from the stars, and enigmatic experiments of unknown purpose, an array of bewildering elements that have plunged the world into a vortex of confusion and wonder. Returning to the fundamental hypothesis that we are not alone in the universe, the American astronomer Harlow Shapley, in 1959, attempted to estimate the number of inhabited planets. He posited that the universe contains 10 quintillion stars similar to our Sun, that is, 10 followed by 18 zeros, and that 1 in every million stars is orbited by planets, with 1 in every trillion planets offering a life-sustaining environment. This suggests the potential existence of 100 million planets across the cosmos that might harbor life forms at varying stages of advancement. In 1961, astronomer Frank Drake distilled such assumptions into a now famous formulation known as the Drake equation, a speculative framework designed to estimate the number of advanced civilizations in a given galaxy. However, the Drake equation is inherently probabilistic. It is intended more to provoke thought and guide the search for such civilizations than to produce a definitive count. Some variables in the equation are measurable, while others remain purely hypothetical. As such, the outcomes span a wide spectrum, from as few as 12 civilizations in a galaxy of 400 billion stars to estimates of 100,000 or even 1,000,000 civilizations. This vast disparity underscores the philosophical nature of the Drake equation and the challenges of relying upon it with certainty. Shifting focus from the sheer number of civilizations to their potential level of advancement, scientists have also attempted to classify civilizations based on their technological prowess. In 1964, Russian astrophysicist Nikolai Kardashev proposed a scale, later known as the Kardashev Scale, which categorizes civilizations according to the amount of energy they produce and consume, based on the premise that technological advancement correlates with increased energy demands. The scale originally outlined 3 main levels, and has since been expanded to 5. Type 1 civilization, capable of harnessing all the energy emitted by its nearby star, including mastery over weather systems and natural forces such as volcanoes, earthquakes, and floods. Type 2 civilization, able to utilize the full power of its entire stellar system, including control over neighboring planets, moons, and their orbits, in addition to its home planet. Type 3 civilization, one that can draw upon the energy of an entire galaxy, traversing interstellar space at incredible speeds and shifting between star systems as easily as we move between cities, while also producing energy on the scale of a galaxy. One can scarcely imagine how such a being, if it ever looked upon humanity, would perceive us, perhaps much in the way we view insects. As for the 4th and 5th levels of the Kardashev scale, they defy imagination. Kardashev himself described them as bordering on the impossible. A Type 4 civilization would possess mastery over the entire universe, able to harness and generate its total energy output, transcend the known laws of physics, travel faster than light, dwell within black holes, or even uncover physical laws unknown to us, allowing them to surpass the limits of the observable universe. As for Type 5 civilization, on the other hand, could only be conceived of as godlike beings, capable of anything, including liberation from the physical body, traversing not only across universes but through theoretical dimensions, or even those that lie beyond human comprehension. According to the Kardashev scale, humanity has yet to reach Type 1 status. However, we are on the cusp of doing so. Theoretical physicist Michio Kaku has estimated that humanity may achieve Type 1 civilization within the next 1 to 2 centuries. He also suggests that we could attain Type 2 status within a few millennia, and Type 3 between 100,000 and 1 million years from now. In addition to Kardashev's energy-based classification, other scales have been proposed to measure civilizational advancement. One such model is based on the dominion of information, how much knowledge a civilization possesses, proposed by American astronomer Carl Sagan. Similarly, British physicist John David Barrow offered a scale based on control over microscopic dimensions. In contrast to the Kardashev model, which focuses on dominance over vast celestial bodies, Barrow's classification measures a civilization's capability to manipulate increasingly smaller structures. It begins with a Type 1 civilization capable of interacting with objects on their natural size scale, advancing through genetic and molecular control, then atomic, nuclear, and eventually subatomic particles such as quarks and leptons, culminating in Omega Civilization Type 7, which will be capable of manipulating the very fabric of space and time itself. Yet one must remember that all of these are still merely theories. We remain adrift in a sea of suppositions and speculative models crafted by scientists in hopes of discovering where our vessel may eventually anchor. Thus, it becomes apparent that the likelihood of advanced extraterrestrial beings inhabiting other planets is remarkably high. That is the implication of the equations and figures posited by scientists. These thinkers have not limited their pursuit to abstract hypotheses about the number or technological progress of alien civilizations. They have also pursued mysterious phenomena, puzzling testimonies, and ventured deep into the forgotten corridors of ancient human history, civilizations that left behind traces suggestive of extraterrestrial encounters. This has led some to speculate that the ancient gods of mythology may, in fact, have been visitors from other worlds, civilizations thousands or even millions of years ahead of ours. It is worth noting that since 1960, thousands of terrestrial receivers, telescopes, and satellites have ceaselessly scanned the heavens in hopes of intercepting a single radio signal from our neighbors on distant planets, evidence of intelligent life in the cosmos. These initiatives are known as the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligent SETI projects. And yet, despite all these decades of exploration, the billions of dollars invested, the multitude of hypotheses, the countless incidents, and numerous eyewitness accounts, the definitive existence of extraterrestrial beings remains unproven. Isn't that strange? If your memory serves you well, you will recall that we previously discussed formal logic, the relationship between premises and conclusions, irrespective of the truth of those premises. The equation asserts, since we inhabit a vast universe containing billions upon billions of planets, then the probability of life existing elsewhere is exceedingly high. This line of reasoning is logically sound. However, what if the premise itself is flawed? What if the universe is not as immense as we've been led to believe, and there aren't billions of planets as portrayed by space agencies? In that case, the entire argument collapses, rendering the equation fundamentally erroneous. Doesn't this seem like a plausible explanation for why the existence of extraterrestrial beings remains unproven, despite the overwhelming probability and the tireless efforts of thousands of scientists and researchers? This leads us to three interrelated theories that offer a deeper understanding of the matter, each one embraced by its proponents with strong conviction. The first is the flat Earth theory, the second is the hollow Earth theory, and the third concerns the existence of cosmic dimensions. If the Earth is indeed flat, then we must be residing in a closed system with no outer space or vast universe, and therefore no extraterrestrial life. Yet there is seldom smoke without fire. It seems implausible that countless incidents and thousands of eyewitness accounts of aliens are merely figments of imagination. Where then do these mysterious crafts originate? Adherents of the hollow Earth theory propose that beneath our feet lies an entire world, populated by beings whose scientific and cultural advancements far surpass our own. They claim there are natural openings connecting our world to theirs, and that these subterranean inhabitants have been visiting us for ages. Some even assert that they were the architects, or at least the teachers, of ancient civilizations, pointing to the simultaneous and sudden emergence of advanced societies in disparate regions of the world, all bearing remarkably similar characteristics. Others venture even further, alleging the existence of secret meetings and treaties between the inner Earth dwellers and world leaders. More radical theories suggest that these beings can assume human form and live among us, that some of the world's leaders may, in fact, be among them. Thus, when a crash of one of their crafts, what we refer to as UFOs, occurs, or when a sighting or brief encounter takes place, governments cloak the event in secrecy, shrouding it in a veil of suspicious ambiguity. As for cosmic dimensions, they require a moment of contemplation. We dwell in a three-dimensional world composed of length, width, and height. The fourth dimension is time, non-spatial and intangible. Albert Einstein described these dimensions collectively as the fabric of space-time, where space in its three dimensions intertwines with time, past, present, and future. Consequently, we can only perceive the fourth dimension when it intersects with our realm, which occurs solely in the present moment. Thus, we are forever confined to the present, unable to traverse the past or future, because time is not part of our spatial world. It merely intersects with it. Imagine a two-dimensional world, like a sheet of paper. The creatures inhabiting this realm can move and see to the left and right, forward and backward, yet they are incapable of perceiving or moving upward or downward. In such a scenario, we would appear to them as supernatural beings, able to observe them without being seen. If one of us were to speak in frequencies audible to them, they would hear only the sound, perceiving the speaker as a ghost, a demon, a devil, or an angel. They would not be able to see the speaker unless we intersected with their plane, descended to the surface on which they exist. At that moment, they would behold us, but not in our full three-dimensional form. They would perceive us merely as a point or a line, for the third dimension remains to them a hidden realm, just as the fourth dimension is hidden from us. Similarly, beings that exist in a four-dimensional world can traverse both space and time instantaneously. To us, they would seem godlike, able to see us without being seen, unless one of them were to descend into our reality. Even then, we would not perceive their true four-dimensional form, but only a three-dimensional projection of it, limited by our human faculties. Could this be the way some people see or summon jinn and demons, opening a portal that connects their world to ours, allowing them to pass through? Perhaps. Yet the ability of humans to open such gateways is limited, and there is a barrier between us and them, one they cannot cross at will or invade with full force. Were they capable of doing so, they would have overtaken our world long ago with armies far beyond our power to resist. And once again, let us not forget that all of this remains speculative. Absolute truth lies only with God. Now, what if some among us venerate these supernatural beings, demons, or perhaps entities we do not yet comprehend? Undoubtedly, they would dedicate their every effort and all their scientific knowledge to creating a grand portal through which these beings might enter. Imagine if this were truly happening, and we remain utterly unaware. On the French-Swiss border, near the city of Geneva, the year 2010 marked the beginning of the first experiments of the Large Hadron Collider, constructed by the European Organization for Nuclear Research CERN in an ambitious quest to uncover the secrets of the universe's origin. The collider was built 175 meters below ground and stretches for 27 kilometers in circumference. Its operating mechanism is relatively simple. Hydrogen atoms are injected into the accelerator, where their components are separated. The positively charged protons are then directed into a circular track known as the proton synchrotron booster, which divides them into 4 beams and accelerates them further. These beams are then channeled into a larger ring, the proton synchrotron, where their number and energy are further increased, before being directed to an even larger ring called the super-proton synchrotron. Finally, the beams reach their destination, the Large Hadron Collider. Here, they are split into two streams rotating in opposite directions at speeds approaching the speed of light, culminating in collisions that shatter the protons into even smaller particles, known as hadrons. These fragments are then observed and studied in pursuit of the most fundamental building blocks of matter. In the year 2012, scientists succeeded in discovering the smallest known particle to date, named the Higgs boson after its discoverer Peter Higgs, who was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics the following year in recognition of this monumental achievement. It is worth noting that this particle is also referred to as the God particle, as if humanity, in all its frailty, had stumbled upon the very particle that God used to create the universe, as though the Almighty required causes. This particle is elementary and electrically neutral, with a spin quantum number of 0. Hence, scientists believe it is responsible for imparting mass to matter. In brief, and without delving into complex scientific details, matter lacking the Higgs boson would possess no mass. Accordingly, researchers at CERN have accomplished unprecedented scientific breakthroughs, not only within the realm of physics but extending into other fields as well. However, on the other hand, some scientists, including the British physicist Stephen Hawking and the American astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, have warned about the dangers posed by CERN. This infernal machine, dubbed by some as the Doomsday Device, could, in an instant, become a curse that leads to the destruction of the world. The magnetic field generated inside the collider surpasses Earth's magnetic field by tens of thousands of times, and the collider is capable of producing immense energy comparable to that of stars. Although this energy is confined to the subatomic scale and lasts only fractions of a millisecond, it is capable of creating microscopic black holes. Thus, any error might obliterate an entire continent, or perhaps the entire planet. Some have even speculated that these experiments could open pathways within the fabric of spacetime with unknown and potentially hellish destinations, places no one can predict or fathom. According to some scientists, the Large Hadron Collider has indeed opened such passages, albeit at the subatomic level and lasting only microseconds. This has fueled speculation that the true objective of the project is to unlock the sealed gates of heaven to other worlds and dimensions, allowing the entrance of the spirit of Satan, the Antichrist, his armies, or unknown creatures. Supporters of this theory point to the strange sounds emanating from the skies in various parts of the world and the extreme, unnatural climatic changes increasingly evident in recent years. It is also suggested that the ultimate aim is to orchestrate a global catastrophe to eliminate the majority of Earth's population, paving the way for the establishment of a new world order predicated on the destruction of religions and preparing the Earth for the arrival of the Antichrist. Thus, CERN is not merely a scientific laboratory for particle physics research. Rather, it is a Masonic laboratory that wields science to manipulate the world for grandiose purposes. Yet, always and forever, what remains hidden is far greater.